double Monty of bro fistiness. Welcome to Thursdays, the Daily Preach, the only daily that matters. I know this for a fact. I did my dailies today, like a good little WoW subscriber. Yes, I was there. I was doing it. I was in charge. This camera's too fucking high. When I see the PG logo, gotta see it. Gotta fucking see it. I put this t-shirt on for my live shows, right? So you have to be able to see it. Otherwise, it's just no fucking good. Welcome to the Daily Preach. I've had an awesome last 10 minutes. I've had an awesome day. Let me talk about it. My day, before I get ahead of myself, my day went like this. Awesome, awesome, fail, fail, awesome again. Right? I want you to check out 2 videos for me. I want you guys to be superstars, not for view whoring. I just want you to check the comments on a couple of videos. One is the top 5 exploits video. The argument going on about the apparent kiting at Onyxia and calling me a retard. If any of you, there's a lot of you in the chat right now, I'm sure a lot of you have probably faced Onyxia during vanilla. Did you ever kite anything? These guys are determined to do this. The other video is Storytime Part 2, where apparently I do not know the name of Method's Guildmaster. Yeah. And I'm an ignorant dickhead. I don't understand where this comes from, because they're not trolls. These people are desperately in the belief that they are correct. They are absolutely correct. Mr. Genji! Mr. Genji, a small shout out to you. Please be on Skype after I finish this show. Much love, much love. So today I streamed some Dead Space 2. I had some stuff to film, but I couldn't start it till midday for various reasons in terms of who was going to be filming with me. So I had a free morning, which is awesome, right? Because I've already done today's videos, I've already done tomorrow's video, and I've scripted Monday's video. So I'm pretty good to go at the moment. And it leaves tomorrow for Way of the Warrior 2, Saturday for another project we're starting. And the live web show on Sunday, of course, is my birthday, and Emma is taking me somewhere secret. And then Monday I can finish up the Monday video, and it should be out on Monday as per normal. So it should all be pretty fantastic. So I had a free morning and decided I'm going to play a game. Yeah, it's my favourite thing to do in the fucking world. So I decided to play Dead Space 2. I stopped playing Dead Space 2 about, 3 months ago? Probably around 3 months ago, purely due to time restrictions. I just couldn't sink any time into a game. I couldn't sit down and play it. So I thought, fuck it. Finally, I'm going to get to play some Dead Space 2. And that was awesome. Live streamed it. Scary as fuck, right? There is a level in Dead Space 2. Little spoiler alert, but not too much. You're guaranteed to probably find something like this in most horror games, which is, in fact, a kid's school aboard the craft you're on, aboard the place. A kid's school. And I'm talking young kids. Babies, actual babies that crawl and they're nasty, and when you kill them their baby heads fall off. It's probably one of the most grim moments in a game since I entered Doom 2, and you go, not Doom 2, Quake 2, when you're playing Quake 2 and you go into the medical laboratory area where they're literally just filled with machines that are designed to mince human bodies into small pieces. Most of you who've ever played Quake 2 will remember that area because it had things like chopper tables, anything that could involve a serrated blade existed in that area. It was pretty fucking scary. It was pretty horrible. Pretty terrible. It was worse than that. It even had the fucking kiddie music playing. Oh man, it was so rough. But what a great game. Apparently I've got about 5 hours left on that, so I might stream that on Monday. Maybe, depending on if I get that video finished. Should be good. Then I had to film some stuff. I did that. And then I had about an hour or so free. So I thought, I'm going to play some WoW. Yeah. I also thought, I want to add something to my World of Vlogs video for tomorrow. I should do a looking for raid and record it. Holy shit, right? I did the second half of Mogashan Vaults, and we killed Elgalon in really good style. In fact, we got up to 7 buffs. 7 debuffs, whatever you want to call it. I saw them going out, and I saw DPS on them, so I helped kill the Sparks. Killed them repeatedly, and did really well. I thought it was fucking awesome. I thought we did really well. DPS was looking solid, good raid group. Only a couple of people died falling through the floor. We're in good shape. Then we approached the Emperor. Will of the Emperor. Holy fucking God. Seriously, that fucking fight. The only reason, apparently, we killed Elgon in such easy style is because everybody in the raid was pretty decent except the tanks. Yeah! That's fucking awesome! Woohoo! The tanks were really bad. Oh man, it was just horrific. We were in fact doing so well that a couple of the healers, one monk and one priest, decided they would go DPS. This does not work on Will of the Emperor. So we died when the Titan gas came in on LFR. We wiped the first time. Little did we suspect that the tanks weren't really on the case. Little did we suspect at this point that the tanking may be an issue. The only issue we had seen is that one of the Emperor's guards, Queen Z, or whatever you want to say, wasn't tanked immediately and killed a couple of DPS before he was picked up and dragged over to his corner. But we died at Titan Gas, which I thought was pretty extraordinary, considering I had Demo Barrier down and Rallying Cry. We still died. Oh, sad face. Wipe, go again. We go back in. We replace the healers. We check the healing meters. People are spamming them, and we notice there's only 4 people healing. Check it out. And these guys are going, no, I switched to DPS because healing was fine. Can you go back to healing? Yeah, sure. Then we realize, oh man, these tanks haven't got a clue. We wipe again. Okay, tanks died while tanking the ads. So not much you could say. Again, one of the ads went untanked and killed a couple of DPS, which is no great deal in LFR. You know, it's not going to be a big problem. At this point, the ads were pretty much out of control. I was DPS tanking the ads. I kind of figured that the ads were going to be a problem after the first wipe. So, being the baller, what do? We pick up the slack for everybody else in whichever way we can. So I decided to tank the Emperor's strengths and the rages, and I was the first man there on the courages to get them hamstringed and all that kind of stuff. But mainly I wanted to tank the strengths nicely at the side of the wall, step out of the stun and just keep them with their back facing the wall. They can't stun anybody there, and hopefully a few dots will be placed on them and they will die. So I was doing that. After it came to the third wipe, I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to respec tank. There's clearly a tanking problem going on here, right? So I just specced into tank. I wasn't doing much DPS anyway, being like an off tank, so I thought I will go genuine tank. So I respecced, put on my tank gear, still in the DPS role, off we went. I ended up tanking the entire boss. I noticed that this boss was just running around manically and 3 people had died. So I was like, fuck man, I'm going to have to tank the boss. So I charged him, taunted him, heroic leaped over to safety and dragged his ass over, and then proceeded to do the dance. I'm then wondering to myself, after about 30%, where are the other tanks? And I'm clicking while I'm doing the dance like a boss, and I'm clicking the dead people. None of them are a tank. So I start flicking through my grid to find who are the tanks in this raid. Why has nobody taunted this thing off me? Luckily, we had several people from Sylvanas guilds who recognized me and they were keeping me up. Luckily, they were healers. It was like the stars were shining on me. When I taunted the boss and got it in, one of the guys was from a guild called Infinite that I certainly remember. I had a lot of friends in Infinite and so on, and they were the healers and they were keeping me up. So they kind of whispered me like, we're pretty happy you're here because I can see the other guys aren't tanking. I'm looking for the other tanks. Guess what? Both tanks are on one boss. What the fuck is going on there? The Paladin and the Warrior are both taunting one of the bosses off each other. They're both just fucking tanking the same guy. And I'm in the chat and I'm saying, guys, why are you tanking that? Someone come and taunt this fucking thing off me. Because now nobody's tanking the Emperor's strengths or even trying to. They're running around like maniacs stunning everybody. And no reply. And it was one particular tank. The Paladin tank, it turned out to be, was very nervous, very shy, or whatever, and just wasn't very into the game. He didn't have a clue. I certainly didn't have a clue about this boss fight. He'd done fine on Elagon, which is like a one-tank fight, right? Pretty much. He'd done fine on that, and he'd done fine on the Spirit Kings, because they're pretty much one tank as well. There was a Warrior tank who seems to have his head screwed on. But what he wasn't good enough to say, this prop pally hasn't got a clue. What I would have done in this situation is if the prop pally was continuing to taunt off me, is I would have fucked off and got the other boss. I would have like, cool, you have it, no problem. I'll go over there and deal with that one. But no, I was tanking the other one. And we were doing really well until the ads got out of control. And then it just turned to shit. After what we said yesterday, I would have given my left nut to have some super powerful buff placed on me because people were joining, leaving, joining, leaving, failed group, leaving, failed, and rightfully so. They were like, I am not staying in this new group. I was like, please, Blizzard, implement this fucking buff. Seriously, I need it right now. Give it to me. I fucking want to be super powerful. I want to get through this. We eventually managed to kick the prop pally. After I think we were up to like 4 wipes now. Like I say, I'll stick it through to the end. I stayed tank and tanked the strengths, and it was piss easy after that. We got one tank who had a clue, went over there, did the business. Basically, we just had it so sewn up. It was beautiful, beautiful. I have the strength so close to the bosses, but not quite out of the way. Well in range of every caster. Like, perfect positioning. It was fucking awesome. I had a great time. But yeah, LFR, it clearly proved to me we need that buff. We do, man. There's just too many people out there just fucking around doing nothing. It's really hard. It was a pain in the ass. I would have given absolutely anything to have that buff on me. I would have. Because my tank gear isn't great by any means. My tank gear is pretty fucking... It's blue heroic gear, I believe. And I was taking some pretty tough damage. I was cycling through my cooldowns, building up rage for as soon as the dance finished so I could get some quality shield blocks up and all that kind of stuff. One of the fights where shield block is useful. Yeah! But it was pretty awesome. Got through it in the end. Cool stuff. Then I started reading YouTube comments for the video. It was about 4:30. Give me 30 minutes just to get set up. I had everything done. Had some music playing for you wonderful people. And started reading through some YouTube comments. I used to do a segment on the show called the Daily Comment, where I would just trash the most idiotic comment I could find. On average, I get about 400 comments a day. New ones. Which means it's a lot of work to flick through them, because most of them are like cool, good ones, okay? Can't complain at good ones. Finding some obscene comments isn't easy. But I did start flicking through some videos, and that's when I spotted the absolute retardedness on some of the videos. Oh my god. I'm quite happy I made the top 5 exploits video when I did. I never expected it to be one of those videos that people would seek out, but it is attracting a lot of knobs. It's attracting a lot of bellends who are purely looking for ways to exploit WoW. You should go to that video on occasion and just find the people who are genuinely trying to cheat at the game. That's what they're doing. That's what they're out to do. It's so cool. Oh god, now my wonderful fiancé is in the chat. Probably to remind me to stop talking because she wants to eat dinner. But thank you very much. No side boob was given that day. I have a couple of topics to talk about today. I want to address sort of like a question time and stuff like that. Because you guys have been replying to all sorts of stuff throughout the week on the usual dailies. And it's always nice to give my personal feedback on that. I ask for it every time. Thursdays is generally the day I'm going to do my feedback. That gives us like 3-4 dailies just to talk about, and then we can summarize it up. I also have some wonderful emails from you guys as well. A lot of you don't email me much about anything other than UI. I'm going to put it out there, right? If you can't find my UI, you're really, really doing the weakest effort at finding it ever. Seriously. Near enough every new video I've done, or probably the last 30 videos, has a link directly and a button to find my UI. My website has a UI. It's preachgaming.com. It's pretty easy to find. I also have 2 videos, which are called Preach User Interface. Very, very easy to find, guys. Super easy to find. Please, just try a little bit. And if you are replying, this is the best bit. People reply to videos that have the UI button in them, asking, where can I find the UI? It's a big button that says UI download. It's pretty fucking easy. Pretty fucking easy. It's really, I'm not going to reply to any of those emails. I'm not. I get too many of them. I get crazy amounts of emails about UI. What add-on did you use in this video where your UI was linked? Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Okay. One of the other biggest questions I get, let's get a little bit general before we get specific, is leveling. Leveling. It's like, hi Mike, blah, blah, blah. I've got various characters I want to level. Can you give me hints and tips? Like, do you use heirloom gear? Well, of course I do. Of course I use heirloom gear. I've done everything in the game. For me, heirloom gear is a nice way to get ahead. Right? After 10 times of doing something, I don't need to do the whole thing again. I don't. I've explored the world. I've done my honours. I assume I know who this is. It's not. Shocking. I do use heirloom gear, okay? That's for me. However, having said that, if you haven't explored pretty much every single zone in Azeroth, don't use heirloom gear, because heirloom gear means you finish the zone in about a quarter, if not less, of actually entering that zone. The way the XP works now and the speed of leveling, I don't recommend heirloom gear if it's like your second character. I really do not. It's not worth your time. You'll spoil the game for yourself, quite simply. How long does it usually take you to level a toon from 1 to 80 to 90? Level 90 and flat out straight up took me, what, like 2 days? and that's with a sleep in between. I can probably do it much faster now I know every single quest inside out. For 1 to 80, not very long at all. Not very long at all. I could do it super fast. I've played my monk for, I think, 2 hours total, something like that, and he's like level 50 or 40 or something like that. And that's without trying. Without trying whatsoever. I might do... I could do... I was kind of up for doing something that might be interesting to watch as a live thing. I could do a live leveling from 1 to 85 to see exactly how fast I could do it. I'd be kind of interested to see how fast I could do it. It would take a little bit of preparation, and it doesn't prove anything other than how fast I could do it. It's not useful, it's not educational, but it might be a fun experience just to see how fast it can actually be done. What is actually faster? Leveling in instances, leveling in 5-mans. I imagine instances is probably the way to go. But I might do that. I might do that, okay? Do it as a holy priest? No. No. No, I'm not going to do that. Third point, I got an instant level 80 warrior. It's level 85 now since I don't have Mr. Pandaria until Friday. Do you think I should delete and level up a different toon? First of all, why the hell would you delete a toon? I have deleted a level 60 toon. I really regret it. I totally regret it. I deleted my first ever Dwarven warrior. I only deleted it for the stupidest reason ever. Because it was listed on my character select on the realm thing, okay? You know, it tells you how many characters you have on a realm. It was on Alakir, and it said 1. And it kept annoying me. I don't know why. I was probably a bit OCD back then. I was that OCD guy. All my characters were on Balnazar. I had like 9 characters. Alakir 1. It used to really fuck me off. So I logged into Alakir and deleted it. I absolutely regret that decision. I have no idea why you would delete a toon unless it was to re-roll on the same server. I really don't. And my friend Blubzar deleted his level 85 hunter just so he could level a hunter again. I totally get that. He wants to do a hunter, he wants to re-level, he doesn't want to do it on a different realm, and he deleted his character so he could re-roll again, the same class, different race probably, because he had some free time and didn't want to pay for it. No problem, that makes total sense. But if you don't have a full character select screen, don't delete anything. It makes no sense. Should you re-roll? I don't know. Why would you? What's wrong with your warrior? That's my question. That's my question. I get very, very general questions like, should I delete my warrior and re-roll? I don't know. Should you? Do you not like your warrior? I don't know why you're re-rolling. I don't understand. If you don't like the warrior, probably try something else, right? A little bit of common sense in this one. Don't delete anything. I see a lot of people like, you can restore, you can restore. Ghosty has done it. Ghosty has deleted his warrior so he could level as a blood elf. Max retard. Why would you reroll from a warrior? It's a very good point. It's a very good point. The other question I wanted to answer. This was kind of a more personal question. And it's kind of one of the topics I wanted to bring up today. I thought it was a pretty cool question and very honest, so I'm going to keep it pretty anonymous. It was High Preach. I wanted to ask some advice for my predicament. I am having trouble getting my head around the mechanics of the game. In the end, I end up quitting out of frustrating or just farming heroics and feeling I'm not that good to take it further. I'm not good enough. My backstory, if you want to call it that, is I'm not the most confident of people and just a quiet guy in general and feel uncomfortable in using things like TeamSpeak. In case I get asked a question I can't answer. Best way to avoid being in a situation you don't like is to be nowhere near that situation in the first place. I totally understand. I started playing a month or so after Cataclysm was released with a mate of mine. I capped with him and tried a few other classes and settled for a Shadow Priest. Wonderful way to settle. I love the Shadow Priest. I am a member of your community and am a member of Stark Industries. The trouble is I struggle with how classes interact. I can watch boss guides and I panic making mistakes putting it into practice. I read talent points but just can't see the synergy between them and the things along those lines. I feel vastly overwhelmed by this stuff when the time comes to use it. I watch your guides and see how much fun you're having, and that's what I am after. I really want to get back into raiding and go above and beyond LFR and do some raiding, even if I have to try making my own puck. I am keybinded and move with my mouse. I have your UI installed. I can level fast and know the basics in place. I want to take it to the next level is a baller would. I have taken a lot from your videos and thoroughly enjoy them, and hoping you can suggest a way to take all these mechanics in and break this cycle and help me to become a baller I aspire to be. Okay, so this is actually a very common thing. People can watch my videos. People can watch a boss guide. People can watch some other guy play their very class. And then they do it, and it's just not working, right? We've all been there. It's no different than watching a professional football player, and you're just like, well, that looks fucking easy. And then you go out onto the pitch, and you can't kick a ball to save your fucking life, man. It's flying all over the place. You don't know what the hell's going on. Practice, practice, practice is the first thing. Practice, practice, practice. That is literally... This is a wonderful thing about LFR. Completely anonymous practice and not much punishment. Very basic mechanics, nice and easy. But you're also mentioning the class synergy. How do your talents work together? This is one of the things I sort of take for granted, is that I read something and very easily sort of depict how that interacts with the class in general. How is it working? How does it intend me to play? But that's also because I grew up with vanilla, where it wasn't particularly easy to make those decisions. It wasn't very easy in vanilla to make those kind of decisions, because we had access to pretty much every single spell a class can use. You had Eviscerate, you had fucking Backstab, Sinister Strike, all these kind of things all kind of can work. Which one do we use? It's very difficult to decide. Not much maths going on. A lot of people just trying different shit out. There was a period, I think, during, I want to say Cataclysm, in fact, where you would find a rogue assassination using an Eviscerate, which is absolutely diabolically wrong. I think even in TBC we had a lot of rogues doing that, because they had to glyph the Envenom, I believe, maybe Genji can back me up on that. But we went through this whole period of time where we had access to so many spells that we weren't really sure what to use. This is a wonderful way for us to learn. For me, and you guys can't take the benefit of that. What you can take the benefit of is that Blizzard doesn't let you do that anymore. But it also takes a part of the decision process out of your hands. You no longer really need to read in depth what spells do to understand if they're going to be a benefit to you. You just don't have access to the other spells, which is easier, but not necessarily a good thing when you're trying to fully immerse yourself in a class and understand what your class is doing. I can make decisions, let's say on a Shadow Priest, about my Mind Blast and Mind Spike based on experience more than anything. When I see that it's going to reduce it by 50% and I have 2 stacks and my Mind Blast is about to come off cooldown and my Mind Spike procs, I know instinctively that I'm going to cast Mind Blast first, because I'm allowed and the freedom of freeing up 2 spaces. How do we beat that? One of them is a lot of training dummy practice. Now, I have said on multiple occasions, training dummies are dog shit. They're not too bad anymore due to the way the debuff system works on the training dummies. They're pretty damn good, actually. They're not too bad at all. But training dummies are a wonderful way to get very comfortable with how your class reacts to certain situations. In terms of DPSing, straight up DPSing, how your class reacts to procs, so on and so forth, and expect them. Instead of being like, oh, this has happened, you can sort of get used to it happening and be very comfortable when that shiny thing pops up on your screen. For someone who's not very into their class mechanics, that big animation popping up on your screen can actually feel kind of like, shit, I have to do something, right? I've got to press something right now because this fucking giant animation has popped up on my screen. I know I have to do something. And it can kind of feel a little bit like, you know what? This feels really awkward and uncomfortable. The previous time I did this was when I first started playing a Death Knight for Darkstorm. I wanted to be a DK. I had the full choice of what I wanted to play, and I decided to play a Death Knight. However, I had never raided on a Death Knight. I had very little experience in Wrath of the Lich King on a Death Knight, and my Death Knight was hugely undergeared for their level of progress. He was wearing all greens, he had just capped, he was in terrible, terrible state. He was an undead, which was shit for PvE. In general, he was an awkward class, and I hadn't played it at all. I parked my ass in front of a training dummy for about 5-6 hours continuously, just whacking away. I did that. And you know what? I'm fine with a DK now, more than fine. And when I got into my raids, I started doing really well. That is what you need to do. You need to park your ass in front of a training dummy for a long time and just keep playing with the cycle. Keep going through it. You'll start to get muscle memory. You'll start to develop things that are going on. You'll start to understand how your procs work. You'll get slightly faster every single time with reacting to procs. For my DK, it was about maintaining a rune when I knew I was about to get Dark Transformation, say for Unholy. I also got very, very used to pooling my runic power for dumping Death Coils. It became second nature to me. Ultimately, that led me to get World First DPS, because I spent 5 or 6 hours just parking my ass in front of a training dummy. Then I went into a raid. Yeah?
Mike, I need help.
I'll be right back.
Ben's got a poo stuck. It won't come out of his bum and it's hanging out on the kitchen floor.
Ben's got a poo stuck in his ass. I'll be right
You're gonna
back.
have to come and get it.
I have to go and pull a poo out of my dog's ass. This is live TV, right? Why can't you do it? Epics. I'm washing my hands. Well, that was horrific, to say the least. That was absolutely horrific. But I dealt with it. Ben's ass is now completely clear. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You've got to do it, man. You got to do it. All clean, look. All clean. All clean. So, onwards. Onwards. I'm totally lost now. Where was I? Oh, getting comfortable with your class. Park your ass in front of a training dummy. Do it. Go and spend some time there. Don't worry about what anyone else thinks. Nobody gives a shit if you park in front of a training dummy. The next thing you need to do, especially if you're a tank, is just run a load of dungeons. Run a load of dungeons. Run a load of dungeons. 5-mans, heroics, whatever it might be. LFR. Get your ass in there repeatedly. It doesn't matter if you need loot. It really doesn't matter. Get in there. Keep practicing over and over and over again until your actual class just is fine. It's second nature. Then you're ready to start doing other things. Then you're ready to start stepping it in. 3 things to doing the best you can possibly do. Understand your class is number 1. Understand the fight, number 2. Put both of those things together, number 3. That's all you need to do. It's very 3 simple steps, but each of them takes a long time to do. Understanding your class isn't the easiest thing in the world. There are lots of people, probably plenty in this chat, who think they are very comfortable with their class, but are probably not using some aspects of that class that they could use better. I know when I'm doing a guide that there's some aspects of this class I could be doing better. I know that, but that's the thing that takes me from maybe 3 or 4 hours of practice to 10 or 12 hours of practice. Understanding a boss fight you can do on any class, and I seriously recommend that even if you're a straight up DPSer, I really recommend this. If you're a straight up DPSer, level a tank and level a healer. It doesn't matter even if you're practicing this in LFR, but you should see what this fight looks like from the other perspectives. Even if you're a caster, think about leveling a melee, or use your tank and get 2 specs on him, okay? Do this stuff and you'll become extremely good at this game. You'll become extremely good at this game. Go and see a fight from your DPS perspective. Then go and see it as a healer. Go and see it as a tank. Go and see it as a different type of DPSer. Go and see what happens in this fight. Deal with the other situations. It's a good way to do it. And it's only 4 classes. It's not going to take you a long time to do that. You can even do it in 3. If you roll a druid, you're pretty much set on all 3 accounts. If your main's a warlock, roll your ass a druid. Get a tank spec, a cat spec, get yourself a healer spec. Done. Get gear for them. And go and try them out. Go and understand this. It's going to take time. A lot of people seem to want me to give them a quick fix. If you do this, you will be done, and that's it. All you need to do is do this, and you're going to be fine. You're going to be one of the best players in the world. That ain't going to happen. Never going to happen. You need to practice. You need to understand the fights, understand your class, and try, for the love of God, trying out different things to see what's going on. You'll be much more prepared, much more aware of everything that's going on around you if you know what it looks like in different perspectives. Oh, this is a tank problem. Oh, this is a healer problem. I'm aware of that because I've dealt with that problem as my healer. I've dealt with this problem as my tank. I know that when this happens, the tank is under pressure. Good stuff. Do that kind of thing. Always good. It's going to take you some time. That's alright. You've got plenty of time. This world never ends. MMOs, especially WoW, doesn't come to an end. So you've got enough time in the world to get things done. Okay? Really good. But thank you for the question. I thought it was fucking awesome. The other two things I want to talk about briefly was the stuff that we asked about on the previous dailies. First things first, we talked yesterday about the catch-up system being removed, and someone was like, how did you word it? I know you're out there. I hate to break it to you, like you shattering my dreams. I'm sure it starts like that. I hate to break it to you, Preach. Like you shattering my dreams. Yeah, hate to break it to you, Preach, but there will always be a catch-up tier. Of course there is. There's always a way to catch up. They're not burying people in the fucking distance. Of course there is, right? That's common sense. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But there's always ways of doing it, which is wonderful. In fact, there was an interview with Roger Brown from Method talking to one of the developers, bringing this subject up. They've actually come out and said the Valor upgrade system is designed to never end. Some people believe that you will be able to upgrade all your items. That's not the way it's designed. Not the way it's designed whatsoever. In fact, I think he calculated it'd be about 22,500 Valor points to upgrade all your item slots. It's designed to never end, but there's always a catch-up process going on. I understand that. What I did like, though, because you guys were on the fucking case, was always talking about the server divide and how good that will be among people saying, well, Taste for Blood was nerfed, Taste for Blood was nerfed. Oh my god. Oh my god. Was too many spells. The too many spells situation. You had some good suggestions. There was a lot of people who sort of backed up what I said. A lot of people were saying, one of the guys particularly said, I don't agree with what you said about Warlocks having too many spells. I don't think they do, and I've played one for a long time. One of the main points I brought up is, hey, if you've played this class for a long time, you're not going to have much problem with it. In fact, you probably really won't notice the actual item and spell bloat, as it's called, that occurs with your class. But in general, there are a lot of spells that go relatively unused. We could do with trimming the fat a lot there. The main issue I wanted to talk about was the PvP, PvE thing. I brought up that I really detested how things in PvP affect PvE. I really hate that. I've hated it since vanilla. Sometimes I would have a spell that would work perfectly fine on my priest in healing. And then suddenly it was changed. And I couldn't really fathom why. I wasn't particularly destroying healing meters or anything like that. I was a pretty good priest. I didn't understand why. And then you go into PvP and you're like, oh, that's why. Because PvP has caused this. This has been throughout time, right? Since the inception of the game and PvP, anything that happens in PvP causes problems in PvE. Sometimes it's the other way around. PvE causes problems for PvP, such as trinkets. Icecrown Citadel was notorious for this. Items like the dislodged foreign object caused many problems and led to what was called Harry Potter cleave, and in fact the downfall of competitive arena on a large scale. No longer was MLG to support PvP in World of Warcraft because it had just become ridiculous. In fact, the commentators, I think it's called Jahel, or he's a great commentator anyway. He was openly mocking it, wearing wizard hats and beards, because all it was a series of casters, I think shamans, mages and warlocks, all wearing dislodged foreign objects, and as soon as it procced, they would just kill somebody instantly. And it was a joke. It was a total joke. So both of these sides affect them. Some of you really like the fact that, hey, I'm a PvPer, this really benefits me. I totally agree. I totally agree with that. Taste for Blood stacks was retarded, right? I'm not stupid. That doesn't mean that it wasn't balanced in PvE. It was pretty fine, actually. It was no big problem whatsoever. Chaos Wave has just been brought up in there. Chaos Wave nerf because it was one-shotting people. That is obviously a problem, right? One-shotting people in Arena isn't skill. It isn't fucking player-based reactions or anything like that. It's like, oh, lol, Chaos Wave. Wipeout. I fucking killed somebody. Awesome. That stuff needs to be changed for PvP. But in fact, in PvE, Chaos Wave isn't even that important. It really isn't. If Curse of Doom spam would do more damage. And in fact, more Molten Core procs will come from using Hand of Gul'dan. It makes total sense. Chaos Wave's not even a big deal in PvE. But it's always fun. It's always fun if you're about to kill some ads to throw in a big fat fucking Chaos Wave. It's a great deal of fun. So a lot of the fun factor is reduced in PvE where you can do these crazy things. People don't want craziness in PvP. This essentially comes down to the bare elementals of what we're talking about. In PvP, people do not want craziness to occur. They want skill to prevail. They want to perform a good CC chain. They want to line somebody up. They want to move somebody away from where they need to be. They want to hurt people. They want their player skill to be the deciding factor. In PvE, we want craziness. We want mad fucking shit to happen. We want to have a lot of fun. We're wearing gear that is just designed to blow something the fuck up, right? That is what we do. In PvP, we care about things like defensive stats. We care about PvP resilience, and so on and so forth. In PvE, we don't give a shit about that. We gear to be the most powerful we can possibly be, brimming to the fucking teeth with DPS, healing, and tanking ability. And that's why we want craziness to occur. We want a million ads that take 10 times more damage so I can dump a fucking big Chaos Wave on it and see some outrageous numbers. That's one of the great aspects of PvE, is you can really see what your class can do, which is always amazing. There's nothing like seeing 1 million chain fucking pyroblasts after another. It's great fun. It's wonderful fun. So these two obviously contradict each other. Massively contradicts each other, right? We've got this craziness aspects of PvE that we really enjoy, and the PvP people who don't really want craziness. And rightfully so. They are not wrong. They want their player skill to be valued. Not just the fact that some idiot got the legendary Warglaves, then goes and wears a load of PvE gear inside the arena and chops you to fucking pieces because he does so much damage. That isn't fun. It's never been fun. Never has been. We also saw when Shadowmourne eventually was achieved by several players, is very bad PvPers got extraordinarily high ratings simply because they could kill you so fucking fast. Nothing is fun about 2 healers, 1 warrior. In fact, even in my fucking video, where I had pure PvP gear, I'm kind of an old fart about this kind of stuff. I didn't want to use maces during the Burning Crusade for the same reason. It felt cheesy. It was nothing to do with my ability. It was literally, oh, I managed to chain stun this healer and kill him without really doing anything that involved my character at all. I was the only PvP warrior on Sylvanas, as far as I know, who chose to use a sword. I did not want to use maces. I didn't like it. I didn't want to use resto druids in my team. It was cheesy. It's nothing to do with me. It was about undispellable CC and a healer that could not die. I never liked that kind of stuff, and I fully sympathise with the PvPers who demand these changes. Some warrior getting 5 stacks of Taste for Blood on a pet and then heroic leaping into you with Recklessness on and killing you in 1 hit isn't fun. It isn't skillful. It's not class-based. It's just absolute garbage. How do we fix this? Some of you came up with many suggestions, which were all really interesting. One of them was just leave it be. Can we do that? Can we leave it be? Can we just let bygones be bygones and just accept it? Well, we've done that for sort of 4 years. PvEers always seem to adapt. So there's no doubt about it that PvE spells are predominantly the ones changed more than PvP spells. That is just the way it has been. There's something they designed for PvE, usually something that's actually pretty fun. Getting 5 stacks of Taste for Blood and seeing some outrageous heroic strike on a boss is just fun. It's great fun. But the PvPers noticeably, and rightfully so, think that is wrong. And they're correct in saying so. So PvE kind of gets the shit end of the stick. They get shit on regularly. Leaving things be is kind of how PvEers have got on. They've left it to it. It's fine. It's no big deal. And then, you know, we'll adapt. Yeah, we lose a little bit of fun. We'll deal with that because we're after raid content and killing the bosses. Hopefully the bosses will make up for that. We need a different system. It needs to be brought in, and we need a separate tier of talents that are PvP related. Or we can do what we're now seeing with Taste for Blood, which is alter spells in PvP. This isn't the solution either. Although it seems like the ideal solution. It seems like the ideal solution that Chaos Wave works differently in PvP. It seems the ideal solution that Taste for Blood works differently in PvP. Ultimately, there are far too many players who do not realise or even read their tooltips and don't realise the difference, and then they start spouting questions and they never get to fully understand their class, which just leads to a further detriment of player ability. We don't want that. We want player ability to come up. The only way to really deal with this is a separate talent tree that is designed for PvP. It is the only way to deal with it. The realistically only way. And those PvP talent trees, I will be goddamned if they are ever perfectly right. We can't really get some specs right or some classes right with 3 talent trees to go at. Look at rogues, for example, vastly underrepresented. They have 3 different DPS trees, still not working out. Better now, but still not really working out. How would we possibly survive with 1 extra talent tree? We couldn't put 3 extra ones in. That would be crazy. That would be 6 talent trees per class. That's too much. How do we go on about hybrid classes? Resto Shaman, suddenly their PvP tree is only elemental. What the hell do we do now? Fucking crazy. Fucking absolute nightmare situation. Not really that easily solved by Blizzard. The best solution, for me, is to change the way spells work so they're different in PvP. And let people work it out for themselves. Then we would get into long-running arguments about, oh, well, you know, in PvP, the spell does this. And, oh, the PvP side of things isn't balanced. We need to change and rework the whole spell. It's a fucking nightmare. A nightmare. There's one suggestion here from Glyphs. Glyphs should change that. I think one issue that worries me about being the Glyph solution is that sometimes Blizzard just isn't quite sure which spell will be a problem. Did they really... do you think Chaos Wave would have worked the way it did if they knew it was going to one-shot people? No, obviously not. They're not fucking stupid. They never intended Chaos Wave to be a one-shot ability. They never really expected anybody to get 5 stacks of Taste for Blood in PvP. Of course not. It takes ages and a lot of luck to build that up. They're like, dude, it's not going to happen, right? Oh, well, we can actually farm off a pet, or we can do this, or we can set it up purposely just to do that, and we can kind of get there. And it fucks it over. It's a terrible situation. I don't think they could say, hey, how would you glyph that? How would you glyph Taste for Blood? Which is a good idea, by the way. It gives ARMS something to manage, which is good, because ARMS has got very little to manage. How do you work that into a glyph? Would you glyph it and to say, oh, this ability now no longer works in PvP? How would you do it? The only way you could do it is that, hey, this only works in... you'd have to glyph it to say, can now stack to 5... but no longer does anything in arena, something along those lines, you know, that kind of thing. That would be a better way of doing it, is this spell is modified for PvE, which is a little idea that you could work with, is that the spell's baseline are designed around PvP, and the glyphs modify them for PvE, would be a good way to do it. That would be pretty fucking good. That would be a nice little way to do it, okay? That would be pretty just awesome. It's just it's actually designed for PvP. Right now we've got glyphs that are designed for PvP. Let's swap it around. Let's have the glyphs designed for PvP, and then we modify them for PvE. Because, trust me, PvEers don't give a shit about getting a glyph that boosts their damage in some way. They really just don't fucking care. They really don't care whatsoever. They don't care. They will take whatever is best to do the most damage every single time. Right, I'm going to go and eat my tea. So has anybody got any questions before I go? I am not mentioning any big crit videos. I don't want that guild come crying at me again, man. I don't want that again. Yeah, disable the PvP zones. Taste for Blood still stacks in PvE. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. The spells used are unusable for PvE. I just think that would be the how's Benzanus. Right, not many questions today. It is Subscriber Drama Friday tomorrow. I've got some good drama stories for you. It's going to be pretty fucking awesome, okay? Drama Friday tomorrow, web show on Saturday. And I want your ideas for drinking games. I have read some of them. I have read some of them for the Christmas and New Year web show. I'd love to see your ideas for drinking games. I have a couple of ideas for myself. Which should be pretty good. But I want to see your suggestions as well. We don't often realise which things you guys pick up on. One of the most recent ones is Muru is a Naru. I didn't think that would be the thing most of you picked up on, but I can barely log in now without somebody whispering it to me. So those are the kind of things we're looking for. Maybe something we say. I would like to do some mini games, see if we can get something streaming, and winner takes all. So we're trying to do all kind of things like that. So Friday Drama is tomorrow. Saturday is the web show. So get your Brofist sent in. We are still looking. I always plug this, but we're still looking for donations. We're trying to get a PVR. It's going to cost us about £100. That's what we're trying to get. We did manage to get the money, and then I had to cut Ben's balls off, which sucked balls because that was really expensive. We're trying to raid the PVR, so we are still looking for donations to try and get that done, so we can bring you a lot more minigame stuff. If we had the PVR right now, we could do minigames on Saturday, which would help, but it's kind of hard with just a PC to do minigames, but we'll see what we can do. Alright, ballers, I will see you tomorrow for Drama Friday. We'll get that done sound going. Have a great evening. I'll see you tomorrow.